What's up, everyone? It's Jan Bors. It's Czech Talent Tuesday today, and it's interview time again. And today I'm gonna talk with the frontman of the band, which is like a metal, hardcore, successful band from Czech Republic, which is very inspirational. And I was speaking with its frontman, Jay, who even pushed the limits of inspiration in this great interview. So let's go and watch it out. Welcome to my show. It's Czech Talent Tuesday. I call it Czech Talent Tuesday because I like to present Czech talents from music from different genres, and I've never talked to the person from the genre of like hardcore. How is it called? What's Skywalker? Is it this in which bracket it is?
Okay, so thanks for having me first, and so this is a tough one. The genre is a mixture, I think. We never tried to aspire to be like a genre-specific band, so we call it post-hardcore typically because post-hardcore is basically anything that came after hardcore, after like the initial phase of like hardcore punk music. So post-hardcore is like a great umbrella term for that, I think. But honestly, it's like a mixture of, there's a lot of like punk rock in it, obviously, like very melodic punk music. Also poppy parts here and there, because like we are really into like electronic stuff, pop as well. But there's also a lot of metal, and I think there's more metal than hardcore. Like honestly, I think for the past say 5 years, I think we've been more into metal than hardcore. But we're not like metalheads, and I think you can feel it through the music that we're not like, well, obviously not like long-haired metalheads or whatever. So we like to use post-hardcore because it's just like this huge thing. You can fit almost anything in there. But if you call it like modern metalcore, I'm cool with that. I don't really care. So modern metal, maybe post-hardcore, something like that.
I was wondering always about it because lots of you, and I understand completely, doesn't really want to be like bracketized kind of, but as well, this labeling kind of helps everybody to, absolutely know, all right, that they came from here or they're from here. I was a big fan of Slipknot, still are kind of. So when I firstly heard your music, I was like, oh, this is my cup of tea,
Awesome.
Kind of. Even whatever kind of style it can be, because the influence, as you said, it's a lot of you are four in the bands and you all listen different music. But when I was watching your interviews or kind of doing my little research of you, it was really funny that you all like Blink 182.
Yep.
So is that a big inspiration of them in your music as well, and how?
I think you can certainly hear some Blink influences in there and Blink flavors for sure. But it was, I would say, at a certain time in our lives, it was like the band, not just a band. And even though we've been listening to a lot of different music over the years, obviously, we still keep coming back to it. Just yesterday, I was just listening to some random music that I liked on Spotify, and some Blink songs came on, and I was just thinking, after all these years, the four chords, no matter what people say, this is still, in my opinion, the greatest band of all time. And it's not just the music, like the sonical part. It's also the fact that being huge Blink fans, that's how we met each other. Like our drummer is my brother, so we grew up listening to Blink and jamming Blink in our little room and all that. But the other boys, we met them through like, Czech very bad copies of Blink 182. So we met through that. And if it hadn't been for Blink, I think I would not have met maybe like 60% of people that I have in my life now. So everything started with them. The music started with them, but also the friendships. So it is the crucial part of our, growing up as musicians and the career or whatever you'd call it. Certainly. And I think you can still hear it in there. A lot of people say that when I sing like clean vocals, not the screaming, but the clean parts, a lot of people say that I sound a whole lot like Mark Hoppus, the bassist of Blink. And I don't know if it's just because I have a similar voice or just, having grown up on him being my, by far the biggest role model. I think I can't shake it off even if I wanted to. It's just, I'm always going to be leaning towards that sort of style of singing. So yeah, it's right there. It's very important still.
It's very interesting for me to hear, especially when you mentioned screamo, the style you're using, or kind of, I don't know if it's called exactly like this, but what you're screaming in your lots of songs, which I like, which is aggressive, but it's very different from punk rock things.
Sure.
How did you came up to settle up this metal band with this kind of style?
Sure. I think it was a pretty natural development. Hardcore is punk, just maybe faster and a bit more aggressive. So having listened to skate punk and punk rock and pop punk and all that stuff for most of my teenage years, around the time that I graduated from high school, I got more and more interested in stuff that sounded a bit more serious, air quotes, definitely. So a huge part of it was obviously nu metal. Maybe that was the first time I ever heard screams in something that I liked. So you mentioned Slipknot.
Like for Chester Bennington.
Chester, definitely. A big one. And all these bands. But then it all kind of came together just when around the time we left high school. So I wasn't into metal too much at the time, but I was more and more interested in hardcore and kind of the attitudes, the approach to music that was slightly different from the other flavors of punk music. So it was a natural development. And then through that we discovered, always with my brother, we discovered also metal. We were okay, if this screaming is cool, let's have a look at other genres and subgenres of music where people scream more than sing or whatever. And so, if you look at it now and you go, oh, that's a metal band, but their favorite band is Blink, that's pretty weird. But you got to realize that in between those 2 points, there's 15 years of just being huge music fans and consumers of music. And it's a pretty natural development, I'd say.
That was my question as well, because I was thinking it's kind of a weird as well, a bit, because you were saying if I can name 5 biggest bands or the bands we all love, it's Blink, and Deftones, which is not even a hardcore metal band, kind of. It's more like Call Me. Yeah. And then somewhere in behind there was Limp Bizkit, which were, classical nu metal of 2000s, which I love as well. Sure. So that was why I'm asking, because you are looking like a party of 4 friends with completely different values of what music is, but the connection is Blink, which I'm glad to hear.
Yeah, well, it's hard to say because we all love Blink and we all love Deftones and we all adore Limp Bizkit and Korn and you name it. So I think in many ways we're actually quite similar, but it's also given by the fact that we come from the Czech Republic, and think Czech Republic 20 years ago when Blink were at their peak, just as nu metal was. You didn't really have unless you were really into some sort of obscure subgenre of something. We were 10, 11, 12 years old at the time. We just knew what we knew from TV, radio, whatever. And if it was cool and it had something to do with skateboarding and troublemaking and all that stuff, we were into it. So some of us were a lot into rap as well. I was a huge hip hop fan. Some of us were not. But I think it's kind of this retrospective rationalization. You go back and you try and explain how it was, but how it really was is just you loved music, you didn't care. And it was all cool and it was all great and we just loved it. We didn't really, when you're 10 years old, you don't care about the labels at all.
No, so, for sure. You go just with what you love. Exactly. Instantly, it hooks or it doesn't. That there's nothing in between. That's what I can understand.
Yes.
But what I'm really curious is that you decided to sing in English. How this decision was made? Why are you doing it?
It's the same thing. I can only tell you the same thing again. We were into American bands predominantly. So, and at the time being kids, we were into America as a whole, kind of what are the best films? American. What are the best bands? American. What are the best video games? American. Whatever. This has changed a lot over the years, let me tell you. But it was just the sound of the music was, I would say, American English predominantly, maybe a British band here and there, an Australian band here and there. But for the most part, that's what it sounded like to us. So I think in terms of punk, metal, hardcore music. We never even considered singing in Czech. Not because we don't like Czech or whatever, or like we're anti-Czech or nothing like that. It's just it never was part of the sound. Just like we wouldn't play acoustic guitars and screaming, we wouldn't sing Czech. It's like it didn't fit in with what we knew. And also, me and my brother, we grew up in a family. Our mother is an English teacher, and you know she's been for years. So English has kind of been part of our lives always, and I don't know, it just kind of seemed natural to us.
And you speak pretty well English. Like I've never heard before. No, I wouldn't say never heard before, but it's not that. It's still not that common that somebody from Czech Republic speaks that well English. You know, with no accent at all.
Well, I also studied English for years, and I'm an English teacher for a living, and so English is certainly a pillar of my life. You know, right next to music, I suppose. And also, I'm a musician, so it's a perfect combination in terms of like not having a thick, whatever, Eastern European accent. Not that I looking back, I don't think it's so important, but it was very important to me as a teenager. Like I need to be, you know, as cool and as authentic. It's not very authentic, but as authentic as possible. So yeah, I was really into it.
Yeah, I got you, but I think that's a big advantage for you, especially when you're doing music and you're doing music on kind of international level, which I think you do. But how is it to have a band in those times, in those crazy times? How is it?
Crazy times, do you mean like right now?
Yeah, like the COVID shitty situation.
You know, I think everybody can tell you the same thing, and we're no different or unique in any way. It's a bummer for us, especially because I think for us that our favorite part of being in a band is touring. For me personally, okay, I don't want to speak for the guys too much, but for me personally, that's the thing that I love about being in a band, like performing on stage, meeting people, traveling around, but not even for the sake of traveling, but just like really touring and doing it live and you know, sorting out the real situations on tour. So I don't particularly enjoy studio or anything like that. I just love that. So we really miss that a lot, and it hurts. It really does. But we made a decision at the very beginning to be as active as possible. So last year we wrote a bunch of songs that we added to the record that we're releasing next month. I hope I can say that. And I like those songs a lot, and I'm very happy that we had the extra time to do it, because you know, had it not been for COVID, we would have just been touring, and we never would have added those new songs to the record. And we're deep into writing the follow-up record now. So we're trying to get to a position that, you know, once we hit the stage again and start touring on this record that we're just about to release, we will already have written another one. So we're just trying to be as active as possible. We just don't want to we don't want to give in to the frustration that's always tempting, and I don't want that to happen to us.
What's the atmosphere or the influence what we can expect from this new record?
I suppose it's pretty dark. I guess the main how do I put this? I guess the main topic of the record is really alienation from yourself and other people, and loneliness, and this weird connection between being somewhat a strong individual, but then also paying a high price, you know, by the fact that you feel alone all the time. So you kind of want to be independent, and you want to kind of realize what you are, and at the same time you realize that you go it alone, and you're kind of alone in that. And I'm looking at this major topic from different points of view, you know. So I'm talking about, I don't know, one song is about death, one song is about fear, one song is about just generally being alienated from other people. It's not a very jolly or happy record, but I'm only after authenticity. So if my emotions at the time are rather negative, well, the songs are going to be negative. I'm not going to lie or pretend on the record. So I suppose it's pretty dark. And in terms of the sound, it's what we talked about at the beginning. It's a mixture. There's a lot of metal. I guess metal is like the cornerstone of it. But at the same time, there's a lot of synthesizers and electronic parts on top of it, and a lot of clean singing as well. We're trying to even if there's like one phrase in the song which is like clean, normal singing, then we're trying to
calming down.
Yeah. And even if there's like one phrase, we're trying to produce it as if it were like a pop song. We're really going like hard into each and every single part. So I'm pretty proud of it. I think you're gonna like it. It's a pretty well worked out record, I hope. It's a dark one, I guess. Not super heavy, but dark in the themes and in the general
but I think
atmosphere.
that really fits into the genre kind of what you're doing.
Of course,
I kind of expected this negative
sure.
going through the person, which helps a lot of people to just pull on the pressure or whatever. Whatever, it works for me like this. Sure. You in 2020 you released few singles. How was it for you to release the singles which you can't actually show live to anybody?
Yeah. That sucks. What am I going to tell you? It really sucks. It's weird. And, with the first song the first song we released in 2020 is a song called Away, which is like a fast metal song. And we played it once. And then our tour got canceled and we all went into lockdown. So we were kind of like, okay, cool, whatever. We don't even know what it sounds like live, really. And the rest of the song, the next one we released, it was really strange because we released the song and then, so we're not going to play it live. Okay, that's weird. And the next song you kind of get used to it. So all you focus on is like, okay, let's promote it properly on social media, on the internet, whatnot. And then you release the next one and you don't even expect to play it live anymore. You get used to things really fast, and that's weird because I don't want to settle for this term like new normal. To me, this is not new normal because it's not normal at all. I don't want to do that.
But you adapt it anyway. You
have to. I mean, we're people. We adapt. That's why we're the number one species on this planet, man.
Oh yeah.
We adapt.
Yeah, still.
So it's weird. It sucks. It's not great. It's not the way it should be. But the flip side is that one day we're gonna hit the stage and play like 6 new songs that no one's ever heard before, and gonna be like, yeah, I know this, but I've never heard it. Awesome. So
I can't wait for this moment. I really can't wait for this moment. But what really helped me is I was watching your, I need to read it. It's like live and lockdown kind of concert online. You did. How was this idea working for you in terms with connecting yourself with the fans you have?
So I'm not really sure how much we really thought about it because we actually shot it in March 2020. So right after the tours got canceled, it was kind of locked down, kind of not. No one really knew what was going on. Not that we know now, but we really had no clue. So it was really weird when we got together. Everybody wearing like gloves and face masks and like just like drowning in like disinfectant. It was really weird, but we did it, and the reaction was absolutely fantastic. And I think it was a smart move. We didn't really mean it as a smart move, but it was a very smart move in terms of marketing because we were, at least in our sort of scene here in Europe, we actually were one of the first bands doing this. And then everybody else started doing live streams and like fake live streams, whatever. And they got really boring after a while because the main part of a show is being at the show, not listening, but like being there. Yeah, so it was literally like 2 weeks after the first lockdown happened or came into effect, so people were super ready for this, and the reaction was great. And after the stream, I spent an hour, 2 hours just chatting with people on Instagram about it who've just watched it, and it was awesome. But in a way, it was kind of spontaneous. Well, I mean, we had to get ready for it, prepare, whatever. But we had the set ready. It was the show that was going to be on our tour at the time. We just kind of wanted to make up for it. So, a very simple idea.
Yeah, I really like the energy of it. It was quite something when I just saw how you like close yourself into some kind of bubble, and then just those emotions were just running through you, and I've enjoyed. And you said something really interesting I didn't know, and really curious about it, that you dedicate one of those songs, I don't remember which one was it, to LGBTQ plus community. And I'm really interested why is this topic important to you? Like, if it's not a secret.
No, it's not a secret. We've always been very supportive And nobody in the band is like LGBTQ whatever. No, nobody. We're like, you're very, very stereotypical and typical straight white guys from Europe. Like there's nothing like that about us. But for some reason this is, I know it's like a minority topic. I know there are other things to focus on, and we do focus on other things. But for me personally, why this is important is just because that, like, it's really hard for me to understand how anyone is opposed to love between two people. Because to me, and I don't want to sound like a hippie or anything, because I'm not, but love truly is the cornerstone of everything that we do as humankind, right? It's really why we even do things, why we get together. Any talk of unity, whatever, is just blank and void without love in it, or some form of love, right? Romantic love is just one part of it, and when you take two people, I literally couldn't care less like who they are, and if you're offended by it, first, I'm really sorry for you, but second, there are really terrible stories of people growing up, homosexual, and just facing not only like a lack of understanding, but hostility and violence and hatred. And as I told you before, the main topic of the record is alienation, and like, just imagine being completely alienated in a way from everybody else around you just because you happen to be attracted to people of the same sex. And it's just like, it's so absurd.
Yeah, which you can't do anything
exactly
about.
And even if you could, like, who cares? Seriously, like, who cares? But it's such a basic thing, love, as I told you, that it must really hurt so bad. And I was kind of like, when we were writing this song, I was thinking, right, well, if somebody comes to me and goes, why do you even talk about it? Like, you're heterosexual, like, it's not your problem, or like, it's faking it. I'm just like, yeah, I get it. I'm saying I'm trying to imagine what it's like. But I have had over the years, it's not just this song, we've always been kind of vocal about this. We've had so much positive response from homosexual folks, that I know that it is important for people like us to talk about it, sing about it, whatever, because like sometimes we have people go like, oh, why do you even talk about it? You're just trying to sell merch which says crush homophobia or whatever. I'm like, hey, I don't care if you don't like it. I've heard from people who actually are affected by like homophobia, and they do appreciate a band like us talking about this openly. So I don't care what you think. Honestly, I don't. So it's important.
Yeah, and I think that's very important to say it like that and have it like that. That from my point of view, of course, but or not. There's no but. There's at to what you're saying, because I'm a lot into Eurovision. The straight guy, white guy, the stereotypical person as well. And Eurovision, there's a huge LGBTQ plus community, because the project is made for everyone. The main claim of the contest, which is super huge thing around the world or around Europe, is that you can be whoever you want in there. If you can't be at your country whenever, but if you come here, you're yourself. You can be whoever you want, and I think that's a very important thing. And that's as well one of the reasons why I asked you for this interview as well, because I actually wanted to see your reaction. If I can tell you and say you like, what will you say if you will be approached by the Czech television and ask, hey, don't you want to send like your not released song yet to Eurovision, which is the best and represent the country in such a contest?
Actually, it's something that we in our band talked about, I think about 2 or 3 years ago, because I was in talks with somebody somehow connected to it. I don't think it was you, but if it were, then I'm really sorry that I forgot. But
I don't know.
we weren't sure if it was the right thing to do, just because we're such a busy band and we're doing so much stuff, and we were thinking, well, maybe we're just gonna spend a lot of energy on something that is not gonna work. But I was never opposed to it, and I'll tell you why. We were talking on Instagram before, and you were showing me some clips and so on, and I really kind of feel like this contest, or whatever you call it, is kind of different in that it's not just aiming at creating new pop stars. And I'm not opposed to pop stars, but it isn't really music that I feel has any like real importance to me or whatever. But here I've already seen like some pretty crazy bands there for whatever genre it was, and I kind of felt like, hey, is this more actually focused on the music rather than the sensation of whatnot around it? And I kind of felt like it was. So I would not be opposed to it at all. I actually, for some reason, I kind of like it. So, what, maybe weird for a guy from an underground band, but I
Yeah, maybe we will chat in the future about it as well. Because
I'm open to it.
I can tell you it's about everything you can imagine. It's about music. It's about the crazy show. It's about whatever you want there to be, because that's the main thing that each country is sending each year a representant, and it can be whatever. It can be like the super crazy song or shitty thing which you will just laugh at who imagined that, and or something you will respect because it's something which is just great. It's just a combination of each year what every country will send into it. You can't do anything about it. Only what you can focus is what you will send. And I was always about to send equality from Czech Republic to show that we here in this region, which is not that small, but we tend to say it's small, are able to do music for the world. I believe that there are bands and artists who can do it, or who can be motivated to try to do it. And I think the Czech music industry is not that motivational or inspirational. And I'm talking about this with every artist I'm speaking to. What's their opinion about it? So what's your opinion about it?
So I've had the opportunity to talk to people who work for like major labels in the Czech Republic, and people who, we have a lot of friends in like the rap scene, which, for years has been like by far the biggest thing in the Czech Republic. And also loads of friends in like underground bands, really obscure, like metal, hardcore, whatever it is, you name it. And so it's really interesting to see that spectrum of music. And honestly, I think the biggest problem that the Czech Republic has is you've got major labels, you got like radio play music, then you've got nothing in between, and you've got like underground. And there is hostility between the two, or rather total ignorance on the part of mainstream and total hostility on the part of underground. Whereas in other countries, like take Germany, for example, you've got, or the UK, you've got huge, not only scenes, but also markets, people working in between the two. That's where we fit in. Like we've got, British management, Belgian or German-Belgian booking agents, whatever. These people are folk like us making money on like managing and booking bands that are not mainstream bands, but they can still, have a job in there. And that's for the most part non-existent in the Czech Republic. And that to me is the saddest part of it. And when you talk about motivation and inspiration, I think you hit the nail on the head. Most bands that I've ever talked to or seen or whatever in the Czech Republic that I liked actually, and I thought there was a lot of talent or like hard work, they just don't believe that it can ever be anything, And then like there all of a sudden there's us, and we tour literally the world, and most of our fans are, in foreign countries, whatnot. And people go, yeah, but that's you guys. Like, we could never do it. I mean, like, what do you mean? We're like, honestly, I'm going to be honest. I don't think that we're that unique. I don't think that we're like super talented or like whatever. But we really like what we do.
That's what super talented people tend to say, of course.
Okay, fair enough.
I feel you.
I'm not trying to be like fake humble, but honestly, I think there could be other bands. And I also thought years ago that when we kind of started opening some doors, like first to Germany and then to like France and the UK, whatever, I really thought that other bands would follow suit. And for years, nothing happened. I know about a few bands now, but that's like literally 5-6 years later. I'm just like, what have you been doing for these years? And most people just kind of called it quits and just left it. Because like, oh man, like I can't, like, what do you mean you can't? Like, what do you mean? So that's really weird. And I don't think it's just because people are lazy or whatnot, but I think they just don't believe that it is possible for a Czech band to ever accomplish anything. I think that's the biggest problem.
We are kind of like, told, even not directly, that whatever you want to be, like world open, worldwide, however you call it, that we are not learned or teached
Yeah.
To believe, to have this belief that we can make something, even it's hard. Maybe it's even hardly possible, kind of.
Yeah,
but it's definitely possible.
Sure. Sure.
I wanted to talk about the Eurovision in this point as well, because what we did in here, we wanted to try to fill this gap, as you said, is here, just the underground and just the like major thing, mainstream kind of. But I think it's more even complicated, that there are even like great pop artists who are kind of have no chance to hit the mainstream until they are forced to sing in Czech, those all same shitty music, which I hate. And they will never move on, you know. But I see the talent, and as you said, a lot of people will quit because they will just lose this motivation. And I think we then losing the potential, another motivation and inspiration for not just us but the other generation. That's what we wanted to change with Eurovision as well, to just say like it's for literally everyone who wants to make it abroad. But what will you say to others to inspire them that this is possible? What will be the hint, or how to say it, what will be the recommendation for them not to quit, just try it? What will be?
Okay, so I would say stop setting goals, but set an aim. And what that means is that you're going to follow a path. Don't look left, don't look right, just keep on going. And it's going to be a whole lot of hard work. And is it going to be harder than if you were from, say, the United Kingdom? Yes, it's going to be like 20 times harder. It is going to be harder. Are people going to ignore you more because of that? Yes, absolutely. That's what it is. But just take that, accept it, and go, okay, whatever. I'm okay. That's what it is. And then keep on going, and keep on going, and keep on going. But be very, in a way, I know it's passion, so it's emotional, but be rational in that at the beginning. Sit down, and this is what we did. We sat down years ago and we said, okay, guys, so let's do this. Let's make it our top priority. But making it a top priority is not a romantic thing to say in a film. Making it a top priority means that everything else is kind of going to suck. It's going to fall apart. You're going to be losing friends, relationships. You're going to be losing jobs. You're not going to be making a lot of money. You're going to be sleeping on the floor and all that. But once you've made it your top priority, you don't care. Like, you literally don't care. You're like, oh, whatever. Like, I've been sleeping on the floor for weeks. Okay, who cares? It's my top priority. I don't care. So, and put in a lot of effort, and kind of just like, don't look back. Don't compare yourself to others too much. And please don't compare yourself to bands in the West. Like, in terms of the sound, in terms of the music, please do. Feel free to. But like, don't be disappointed when they play shows that are 20 times bigger without putting as much effort into it. Okay, that's what it is. We're Eastern Europe, and Eastern Europe has always had it harder. That's what it is. So like, sorry, but that's what I would say. Like, really set an aim, not a goal, because like meeting goals in music, it's very hard. I think it's very like volatile, whatever. But set an aim and keep on going. It's going to take a long time, but there are people who will love that. There are. So that's what I would say. Make it your top priority, and just don't be sorry when it's hard. It's going to be hard. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I love what you say. I think that's pretty inspirational, actually, and realistic, which I think it's as well need to be heard and said.
Yeah.
I wanted to end this conversation, but you mentioned a topic which is kind of interesting to me, and I think it's a part of what you said. It's that Western and Eastern Europe, as I find out as well that's really interesting, like how Western countries doesn't really see Eastern Europe as shuttered countries, but as a whole one thing. What was your experience when you made it West?
So there are a few points that we kind of talked about before that I think played a role. So first, you spoke about my non-existent Eastern accent, and you know what? That I think it's really crazy, but it does help. Especially in places like England, when you come from the Czech Republic and they kind of expect you to speak a certain way or be a certain way, and then you just come and you kind of like chat with everybody, and you don't care. They don't get to talk over you. They don't get to shut you up. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, okay. And they respect you a bit more. So I know it's unfair and it's kind of weird, but it is that way. And another thing is just like, people don't really care so much, like at one point we stopped saying where we were from because we were kind of feeling we were getting this weird reaction to it. But then we just kind of realized it literally doesn't matter at all. So let's just be us. And people have these weird ideas of like, oh, but if they know I'm from this place, they're not gonna like me. Or if they know I don't have like enough monthly listeners to Spotify, they won't like me. Fans of music don't care about any of that. They either like you or they don't. So that's what matters, at least in underground music. So the experience has been good and bad, but for the most part I'd say really good. And then it's really fascinating when you're on tour with say 3 more bands, and you never tour with Czech bands or Eastern bands for that matter. You always tour with like
why is that?
They don't tour. They don't like just don't do it. Like there's no other band in what we do from the Czech Republic. Like we always tour with British bands or American, sometimes French maybe, but never with Czech. But we have this unique experience to be the only one from this like weird part of Europe that no one knows anything about, and it's awesome. It's fun. It's also really funny. When you have like 20 British guys and then 4 Czech guys, and all of a sudden we start shouting at them in Czech, and they go, "Oh my god," because they think we're like Russian mafia or something. It's really funny sometimes. It's rewarding when you can make fun of them. But it's a unique experience. So, it's a great thing also because no one else is ever going to get to experience this. It's just us. All the other bands just know what it is. But we just have this extra layer of experience that I kind of really enjoy, to be honest.
Now, and I really understand why. Like, it's nice to be unique, and I really believe that if somebody will hear this interview, which I wish it will be inspiring, but I really believe that you will be inspiring if you just have no problem to tell this to me, and we met each other for the first time ever.
Absolutely.
You can literally say to anyone and spread this inspiration.
Sure
because
thing.
I think we all need it. That's what we are a bit unable to do, and maybe especially this crazy times learned us that we need to maybe do it even more, be more open to each other, which I think the Eastern Europeans, if something like this exists at all, we lack of it, kind of.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have a problem with that. We're not very open to each other. That's what we share. I think it's, I don't know if it's Eastern Europe, like Slavic nations or something like that, but there is something in us which kind of prevents us from being open and just like kind of share whatever it is. We're a strange breed. I love us. I think we're great, but we're very strange, and that's also great. It's our strength in a way. Sure, let's show others. It's cool. It's cool. But hey, we're releasing an album in the United States next month, but that's after 10 years of being a band. So let's be realistic. It's going to take forever, but it is possible. And I want other people to know that if this is any sort of milestone or success, it's not just for us. It's not. It's not just about us. Like, I'm super happy and proud, but please, if anyone in Poland, well, Poland has behemoths, so they're okay, but any other like Eastern European, Slavic, whatever country, like, guys, let's go, let's do it. Like, let's do it. Let's do it.
And just do it. Just do it can be the great ending of this awesome chat. Thank you, Jay, for your time. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you.
And that was Jay. I really believe you really liked what he said. For myself, that was super inspirational. It was super motivational, and I really believe there will be much more people like him or the bands like is his and his brother, because it's necessary. It's the great motivation. It's a great example of how to be successful, how it's not easy to be successful, and how the constant work can push you forward. Even it's very hard and it's definitely not easy. So I really believe you enjoyed it. I really believe it motivates you to work even better or harder, or just not to give up, because that's as well really necessary, and as well it motivated me to keep on going what I'm doing, because that's what I want to do. That's the aim Jay was talking about. So I hope you liked it, and if you did, please share it among your friends, share it among your community, share it with the people you believe they need such an inspiration in their life, or the people who just like this kind of music Skywalker are doing. I will be glad that you do it. I will be glad that you subscribe this channel, share the video and like the video, and of course I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.